When you said that, I was like, they could only be
No,
one thing.
I love them. Like I'm on my like last 2 pairs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I have to buy socks now like an adult?
No, you know what I also just bought that I'm a big fan of? Skims. We're recording, by the way, but I just got Skims.
I've never bought Skims. I feel like I can't because I'm such a Taylor Swift fan.
Why?
Isn't that insane that I'm like supporting a billionaire so much? And I'm like, if I buy underwear from your like
billionaire rival,
I am supporting you. That's how I feel.
Make sure you're just talking into the mic. Yeah, push it in so you're.
Hello.
Yeah. Get better. Okay, cool. That's not. That is a little bit crazy.
It is crazy. I fully admit it.
But I got Skims, very comfortable. My Black Friday haul was, and then we'll skip them, and then we'll actually get to the show. But Black Friday haul was Abercrombie because they've made a comeback like nobody else. They have the best essentials out of any brand. They've done a huge 180, stock prices up and everything. Shout out Abercrombie. Zara, they have good staples. You can't go wrong with Zara. Got some jean shorts from JCPenney. Because why not?
I don't think I've shopped at JCPenney ever as an adult.
I hadn't either until I was looking, like I wanted a specific item of clothing, and I Googled it, and then I saw a bunch of companies, and JCPenney had what I wanted at a good price, so I bought it, so whatever.
Done.
And then I got Skims, and then I got Daily Paper, which is another one of my favorite brands.
I've never even heard of Daily Paper.
It is a cool brand, founded by they're like Dutch dudes. There's an store location in Lower East Side, and then one in London, I think, but that's it. Okay. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Go With The Flow. I'm your host, Folarin Okulaja. Special guest, Rachel, on the show. Second time on this year.
Woo.
Welcome to the show. This is going to be the 2024 recap episode, but stop what you're doing. Like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. It won't actually be the last episode that comes out this year because there's 3 more Mondays and episode out this coming Monday and then 2 Mondays from
Working during Christmas.
No, so I'm pre-recording a bunch. I've been on my grind. I recorded one last week that's going to come out after yours. I'm recording one on Tuesday morning that's like a J. Cole focused episode, but that's,
Because he's touring and you're going on a Monday to MSG.
Yes.
Did I see this?
Yeah, so he's not touring. He's doing one night only, which is insane because it's one night only MSG Forest Hills Drive tour, which was my very first concert that I ever went to, August 3rd, 2015. This is one of my favorite albums ever, my favorite artist ever. And so I've never been more excited for a single event in my entire life.
That's a good first concert.
Than I am for this concert tomorrow night.
My first concert was Maroon 5, but my first concert without my parents
big distinction.
Yeah, big distinction, was Fetty Wap. And guess who opened for Fetty Wap?
Give me a hint.
Someone big now.
Someone big now? Travis Scott?
No. Post Malone, and he sang White Iverson 4 times. And I was like, what is this song? Like, who is this guy? Why are we hearing the same song? And then Fetty Wap came on, and I was like 14 and drinking like Fireball in yellow Gatorade. It was truly rancid.
And now look at Post Malone.
Yeah.
But it's been a long year. It's been a great year. I look back on my year. I've had a great year. You've had a great year.
Highs and lows.
Towards the end of the year. Highs and lows. You started a new job. You're popping off on the TikTok. Much more
good. Much more ups than downs.
Yes, and same here. And so I like the idea for this episode to just be going over all the shit that's happened this year from like pop culture, entertainment, sports, not as much politics, but it was an election year, so you got to touch on it. They tried to kill a CEO they killed a CEO last week, 2 weeks ago. So a lot has happened this year, but I feel like the very first thing that popped up this year was, and you probably even forget that it was this year, when the door popped off the plane on Alaska Airlines.
That feels like years ago.
It feels like years ago, but that was January 5th of this year.
And that wasn't even the airplane, like the airline that was going to shut down. Like Spirit is probably shutting down.
They filed for bankruptcy, I think.
But they also could just be doing that to be like relatable to customers.
I mean, maybe. Did that give you any fear of flying on planes after you saw that?
No, my flight anxiety, I never had it as a kid. And then did Princeton do a Vegas fall break senior year?
You guys did Vegas fall break senior year?
Yeah, Penn kids are cool.
Damn. All right. We went to Nashville senior year, but it was just like a group of my 10 guy friends from my frat. But wow, wait,
so
how big of a...
Like, not all, but like I would say like 70% of the senior class goes. And
Damn.
It's the same weekend as like Michigan, Vanderbilt, like all of the other like actual fun schools go. And then these Penn kids are like trying to keep up. And I remember the day before the Vegas fall break trip was heyday because our junior year was still COVID, so Penn didn't let us have heyday, which is like a senior like moving up ceremony until we were already like a quarter into senior year. It's just a day to drink. And then I was so hungover, like spray tan, like clutched in my seat, and that's when my flight anxiety started. So I've been a nervous flyer for like 3 years now.
Okay. Because I have never been a nervous flyer, but there's something about seeing a video of people flying mid-air and there's just no plane on the door that'll do that to you. I've probably, this year I traveled a lot, so honestly might have been on more flights this calendar year than any other year in my life. And I will say, every single time I got on a plane, I'm like, these doors better stay on.
Yeah. Well, everyone was fine.
Oh, yeah, no one got hurt, but still. Think about the potential. Imagine if the person in that seat wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Oh, I never wear a seatbelt.
Because
I thought, I'm like, what is this piece of fabric
what's this gonna do?
I think about this all the time.
Me too. And this is gonna, I mean, yes, it sounds a little crazy, but if I'm on a plane and God forbid something terrible happens, I don't know if a seatbelt's gonna save my life.
It's not. And honestly, I'd rather go quickly, have my head hit, pass out, than be like suffocating for air. That's so dark. But like if I'm gonna go on the airplane, I'm not going while it's going down.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. So that was what kind of kicked off the year. And then another thing that happened early this year, remember when Kate Middleton disappeared for a bit?
Yeah.
And everyone thought
she was getting divorced.
She might be dead. There might be a clone of her. And then it got announced that she had cancer.
I didn't know this whole like body double conspiracy thing was such a big deal until like right before, I think the night before the election, everyone was like, that's not Melania Trump, that's a body dupe, because she was smiling, and I was like, that's hysterical. Like,
I did see some theories that there's just a bunch of clones of her, that the real one isn't actually there and it's just a bunch of clones. And there's something about the internet where it's like you read one too many tweets and then you start to think, wait a minute, maybe that isn't her.
Yep.
And then I saw one for Biden also, because there was a point in time when I think he got sick and people were like, oh, he died. And I was like, one of my friends literally was like big on the train that Biden died. And I was like, honestly, guys, we haven't seen him in a super long time. I think he might be dead.
He could be. We don't know. I feel like it would make sense for some of these people who like, if I'm Melania and I never speak and all I do is show up and smile or not smile in her case, like I would be like, pick somebody else today. Like I have things to do that don't just involve standing there.
Wear big sunglasses so it's not that hard to be seen. Like I feel like there's ways they could get away with doing that.
And if no one's asking her to speak, why should she have to be there? If it's just a placeholder, I respect her for maximizing her time.
She's just a figurehead, essentially.
Yeah.
Because first ladies, respectfully, figureheads. They don't really do much. They're just there.
I don't know. My favorite quote of hers will always be the Christmas. Like,
what quote is that?
Have you never heard this?
No.
Oh my God. It's her. It's like a phone recording that someone recorded of her without like her knowing. And she was like, I can't believe I have to do all this nonsense for Christmas. Like it's so stupid. Like what a waste of my time. Like someone has to do it, but this is ridiculous. Like it's hysterical.
I don't even know what she sounds like now that we talk.
It's really funny.
Where's she from?
Somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, like she has an accent probably, but I don't know where she's from. Okay. Other things that happened this year, and this is literally just going to be all over the place, bouncing around topic to topic, and this is going to be me having you explain something to me. What is Brat Summer, and what is Brat?
Okay, so Brat Summer was Charlie XCX came to Williamsburg Greenpoint line. There's like a little gym there called Vital.
Okay.
Where I guarantee half the people we worked with like know what that gym is. It's called Vital. Okay. And there's a rock climbing gym, and at the top there's like this beautiful view of New York. And Charlie XCX was launching her album, and this is like far from her first album. Like she's had big albums since like 2014.
Didn't she? What was her? She had a big pop.
Yeah.
Like, okay, wait. I will Google.
She has a lot of like pop music. She has a lot of like I don't know what to say. Like she had a very different sound. Not very different, but
she's 32. Damn.
Yeah, like she's been big for like a minute, just not this big. And she came to Greenpoint, had the wall painted green, and wrote Brat, which was just the name of the album. And people went crazy because it was like a free concert from like someone big, and the music's really good. And then I feel like it was just one of those instances where like someone who already had like a very big following became mainstream, which you kind of saw also with like Chapel Roan. Like I'll be the first to admit, I was at Coachella and my roommate was like, we were at like this like pre-party and I was like, I'm staying here. This is where the open bar is. And my roommate was like, I'm leaving to go see Chappell Roan. And I was like, who is that? And like a month later, like everyone knows everything about Chappell Roan.
H-O-T-T-O-G.
Yeah. And I just think it's
I don't think I've ever actually heard that full song.
I did not see them live. I don't know. I probably never will because the tickets are now so expensive and she doesn't tour. But I feel like both of them are very similar in that they had very big audiences and then they became mainstream. And then I think everyone was just like Brat Summer, but it's kind of just like being like a hot mess.
Okay.
Personified.
Okay. Because that's one of those things where, again, I'm not... If I actually am intrigued enough, I will do my due diligence and do my research to figure out what something means. But the whole Brat Summer...
Well, people just started to use it way too freely. They would just throw it around.
Okay.
They'd be like, I'm drinking Diet Coke from a can, Brat Summer. I'm like, no, that's just drinking Diet Coke. Like, this isn't a personality trait.
And is she like a... She's like a likable person, right? People like her.
Yeah, I think people really like her. I think people... She also did such a good job where the songs were good, but then, you know how like the Taylor Swift effect where people are like, oh, I think this song is about XYZ person, and then people really get into it. But then Charlie XCX would be like, yeah, you think this song is about Lorde? Let me go make a remix of the song literally with Lorde.
Okay.
And then people were like, that's crazy. And then every like month or so, she would kind of do the same thing, but on like a lesser scale. Like she did like Troye Sivan and Billie Eilish, even though their songs weren't about them, but like super famous people. And she would kind of just keep releasing them slowly and slowly and slowly, but you couldn't really escape it.
And I just figured out I Love It with Iconopop is the song she was featured on.
Yeah.
Which was a massive song. Like,
yeah.
So she's been around for a minute.
She's been big.
Because I knew the name, and then she...
But her old songs weren't as good, to be frank.
I just didn't pay attention. But she disappeared for what seemed like a long time. And then this year she seemed to have a level of fame and stardom that I didn't know was associated with her. And that's what I was very, very confused by. Some listings had her album as the album of the summer or album of the year, honestly. But again, I'm not going to go out of my way to listen to it. But because she was big enough that she popped on my timeline, on my feed in different ways, that's why, she's on my consciousness.
I also think part of it is like PR. And I personally never understood like the world of PR that much, but one of my friends is in it and was explaining it to me, and like obviously I'm sure people were like writing reviews of Charli XCX's music before, but like I remember reading this like New York Times like music album review, and it was talking about how like deep and insightful and like all of these things her music was. So I feel like part of it is, yes, like really catchy songs, but then when you hear about like album of the year, like aren't the Grammys decided by like not popular vote? It's literally just like a bunch of people picking what they like.
Yes, exactly.
Who are probably like pseudo intellectuals who probably are also reading that New York Times article.
Yeah.
And they're like, ooh, yes, I like it. And then like also it's such a popular album, brings attention to the Grammys. Like it's like this loop.
Did we just determine that she's going to win album of the year at the Grammys?
No, because I think they'll give it to Taylor Swift because they're probably scared of
You think they're going to give it? Because honestly, that's a great segue because she is one of my people of the year simply because of...
You cannot escape.
You can't escape her. And her tour is the single highest grossing, which just ended a couple weeks ago, the single highest grossing tour ever. Mm-hmm. I think over $2 billion. I think after the first leg in the U.S. was already at over $1 billion, and she extended it, added more legs, and out to over $2 billion. I feel like them giving her the Grammy is more... it would be more because of just, again, she's at this status. We want her to show up and give a speech rather than the music actually being good. Although, as I say that, I don't actually listen to any of her music.
I'm a huge fan of her music, but I do think that, like, anything that touches her now, like, if you get her in, like, your newspaper, if you put her as, like, X person of the year, like, I think she was Times person of the year, maybe last year or the year prior.
I think last year?
Like, it's self-serving
it was Trump
for
this year.
All of these other people.
Yeah.
Because you're going to, like, her star shine is going to, like, shine onto you. So, like, for the Grammys, like, I mean, there was also a New York Times article reviewing Taylor Swift's album, and it was like, this is 31 songs, way too long, blah, blah, blah. Like
31 songs?
It might be 34. It's one of the And they're like, this needs editing. And, like, that article got like a lot of hate, didn't take off. Like, I think people try with very credible backgrounds to like talk about how much they don't like her. And I think kind of like Brat Summer, like not saying people who like just started listening to Taylor Swift are like fake fans, but like I do think it's become a personality trait for a lot of people to be like, oh my God, I love her, I'm obsessed with her, da da da. Like it's a lot of people's brain space focused on her.
Did you go to the tour?
I did.
What were your thoughts as someone
Really
who saw
good.
it live?
Really, really good. Great music. I think she does such a good job like keeping it new for everyone because she does that surprise song thing. And I think that template.
What surprise song thing?
So basically she has a set list of, let's call it 30 songs that she does, either like the whole song or parts of the song. But every single show, she does 4 songs that she performs live that, at least in the start of the show, she wouldn't repeat any songs. But every time she does it, like if she does a mashup, that's the only time you're going to hear those 2 songs performed live, like ever. So people every single night of the tour would like record it and post it. So people were like, I really hope my surprise song at my show is XYZ. And like it just kept people very, very engaged.
And it gives everyone a unique viewing experience too, which is smart.
Yeah.
Because I'm someone who, admittedly, when I go, sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. There's a website called, I think it's called like setlist.com. And so it'll have the set list for whatever tour is going on. I sometimes would rather just go and not know it's coming up and just like fully enjoy it. But I have caught myself like looking it up ahead of time sometimes. But even for example, like this J. Cole show tomorrow, obviously he's going to do the entire Forest Hills Drive album, but I'm still curious about what other songs he's going to do. Because he's just re-released all his old mixtapes. He has so many albums that he's put out. And so that's part of the excitement for me going in tomorrow. Is like, okay, I know I'm going to get the, 10, 11 songs of 2014 Forest Hills Drive, but like, what else is he going to play? And one of the most beautiful feelings in the entire world is being at a concert of one of your favorite artists and anticipating like what's going to come next. And then you hear the beat drop for a song and it's one of your favorite songs. Like that is an unmatched moment where if you look up the set list ahead of time, you can't necessarily get that feeling. So
I'll do you one worse. I was standing in line to buy a t-shirt at the Taylor Swift concert and I started talking to the girls behind me. Guess what number Eras tour that night was?
What, for them?
For them.
Like 4?
Yeah. I was
That's
like,
insane.
I was like, you just put like a small down payment on a house in the Midwest.
Because those tickets are not cheap.
No, I know.
What location did you see her?
I was in Miami.
Okay.
My friend was very, very generous and was like, my mom bought these. She wants me to take someone who's like going to enjoy this as much as I do. And like, I'm a huge fan. We did not sit like the entirety of the concert and it was really good. But like, I'm standing there in line and these girls are telling me they've been 4 times. I'm like, is it 4 times good? Like,
maybe it is.
Maybe, but
maybe we'll ask the people. I'm curious what the record number is. I bet there's people who saw it more than 4 times.
Same, and yeah,
but
it also became like a status symbol. Like I don't know. I think about like brands and marketing, especially with influencers, probably more than your average person. But the backlash around Miami shows and like this makeup company called Tarte brought a bunch of influencers and people were like complaining that the girls they brought weren't big enough fans of Taylor Swift to get brought. And it just became such a thing. Like, were you there? Were you not? Like, oh, you're a fan, but you didn't go. Like, you're not really a fan. And I'm like, no, you could still be a fan and just not believe that spending $2,000 on this is worth it.
Yeah. And the whole friendship bracelet thing.
Yeah.
And
although I got a lot of cute bracelets. And I can't throw them out. I'm like, that would be rude.
And also, speaking of, because her and her superstar
partner.
Yeah, I was gonna say fiance. I was like, am I manifesting that for them? I'm quite honestly surprised they're still dating. But I'm at the point where I'm rooting for the relationship. I was a hater, and there's a clip that I posted that all the Swifties found and very much so attacked me for. This was probably early in this year where I was like, I don't think they're gonna last. I don't want them to last. I'm hating on the couple. I take it all back. It's actually,
I support them.
I support it too. I would like marriage in their future. He's about to retire soon because he's kind of washed now at this point. And so they could have a lot more time to be together.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to live in Kansas City anymore because I doubt she wants to be in Kansas City.
There's no way.
I'm rooting for the couple. And I think the Kelsey brothers have had also significantly big year with their podcast. They signed I think $100 million podcast deal.
With Amazon?
I think it was with Amazon.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in maybe a minority of Swifties who are like, I love her music. I also love hearing like the album that she put out this year, people think is of
Dead
34
Tortured
songs.
Poets Society, whatever. It's
Yeah. Look at you. Is predominantly about like a situationship, not her boyfriend of 5 years. So like I love that drama, but like when people are like, oh my God, she went to this restaurant and like he was wearing this and she was wearing, I'm like, I only really like the former relationships. Like her current thing feels invasive. I feel like I have a very interesting relationship with her.
I bet most of her fans also feel like they have an interesting relationship with her too, and that's why they admire her so much.
Yeah.
And they're so kind of dialed into her. Which again, being able to create that type of following, it's impressive.
Especially at that scale.
Any way you slice it and dice it, like it's insane.
Yeah.
It's
like,
on par with like the Ronaldos of the world and the Beyoncés of the world. I don't even know how again one human being can garner that much support. It's I don't think someone needs to do a study of like celebrity and celebrity worship and all of it, because it's so fascinating.
It's like it's fascinating. It's also like scary when you think about like the influence that those people could have with like a lot of people just not mentally like. I feel like a lot of people let really big celebrities or really big like figures create their personality for them
and dictate things that they do with their
Yeah.
lives and in
Yeah.
their lives, which is never a healthy way.
I think we've lost critical thinking skills.
Oh, as a society, it's quite scary. It's quite bad. On this, we'll keep it on the music chain or thread. Do you have a song of the year or an artist of the year?
Well, both of mine were Taylor Swift.
Really? If you have to give a second place trophy.
A second place, I love Bad Bunny. I don't know what a single word in a single song means.
Did he put out music this year?
I don't even think so.
Okay.
Maybe my roommate is a huge fan, and we actually met because she was like, I want to go see him perform at Coachella. I was like, sure, I'll go stand with you. And we like, this was like our first real time hanging out. And I stood there for 4 hours, not knowing a single word. It was like quite cold because it was a night in the desert. And she was like, I knew you were a good friend because you sat there and he didn't, like, no transitions were in English. Like, he made a point to do his 4-hour set
4 hour
entirely
set,
in Spanish. Damn. I know. But great music. No idea what any of it means, but I'm like bopping around to it.
I actually saw him on tour
Oh.
too last year.
How did you see him on tour? In New York?
Yeah, but it was through work, so like I didn't have to pay for a ticket.
I was
so
gonna say,
I was
arm
just,
and a leg.
yeah, I was just like, I'll
go.
I'll go. Someone offered it to me. I was like, duh.
Yeah.
Good show.
Sick.
I knew like 3 songs, but again, cool experience. My artist of the year and songs of the year. I'll do artist first. Shabuzi.
Okay.
Matt, do you know who that is?
Yeah, I do. I can't feel like I'm a huge fan.
Because you made a face. One, because he had, again, one of the songs of the year.
Okay.
A bar song is, everyone knows the song. Very popular, very catchy, good song. Why are you shaking your head?
I don't know the song.
You don't know.
said
You
everyone
know
knows
the
song.
you know the song. There's no way you don't know the song.
don't think I
I'm
know
literally
the
gonna
song.
play 2 seconds of it right now. Come on. Hold on. Yeah. Oh yeah. Come.
Okay.
What?
I don't know why I was like, not.
You know, great song. I think he also. I want to look at the date his album came out, because was it this year? It was, yes, May 31st, 2024. Great album as well. He performed at like one of the Thanksgiving football games. He's been everywhere. For a black country artist that's popping off, I think he's had a great year. So he's one of my artists of the year.
I'm not gonna lie, I fully thought this man was British.
No, he's just a black dude from somewhere in the
who
South,
this guy is.
I think. Shabuzi, yeah. Well, now you know.
Now I do.
And then 2 more songs of the year for me. $1 Million Baby, which actually came out this year. Or are you gonna say you don't know that song?
I'm sure I do, but I like
This
couldn't like
isn't-
be like, oh yeah, I love that song too.
I guess we're doing this exercise. These are some of the most mainstream songs of the year.
Maybe. Yeah, it sounds like a TikTok song.
Yes, this was
Yeah.
you know the song.
You know what's really interesting is how you should listen to the Miley Cyrus interview about how TikTok and like making music becomes like you have to like now deal with like getting it viral on TikTok, but then getting people to listen to like the rest of the album
And even
off of
longer
TikTok.
songs
Yeah.
is becoming a challenge, and people are now kidding their songs to be shorter in length because of that. I've seen some stuff about that, which is not ideal. Okay, then the third song, which this you may or may not know, "Not Like Us" by Kendrick Lamar.
This was part of the battle.
Yes,
that was like midsummer.
Yes,
I remember I made someone explain this to me because I was really confused. But it was an interesting fight.
Yes, yes. Which honestly, this was.
But Drake is back.
Honestly, and I'm glad you say that. Here's the thing about Drake. He is too big of a superstar for his shine to ever be knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
He lost the rap battle very clearly. He's suing about it, which I do think he has a valid point, because I do think there was some conspiring and collusion going on behind the scenes to elevate Not Like Us and Kendrick Lamar behind the scenes. But the argument that people have made, which I do believe, record labels have definitely conspired to increase listenership for Drake songs as well and boost his following, whatever.
I feel like suing is a stupid move because it only gives attention to something that most people can't even remember.
No, everyone remembers it. Because also Kendrick is going to have a massive 2025. He's performing at the Super Bowl halftime show. Oh. Has a show with
Is he the only one?
They haven't announced who. He's like the main, so whoever he wants to bring, he can bring.
Okay.
And then he's also going on tour, which I got tickets for his tour, and it's an arena tour. A stadium tour. So he's doing MetLife twice. He's doing all the biggest stadiums. Kendrick is going to have a massive year. So no one actually forgot the song.
No, I don't think people forgot the song, but I think like bringing attention to the fact that you lost, like,
yeah,
he's not a great strategy.
He's being a bit of a sore loser, and so he honestly might be, as much as this might sound contradictory, because I don't think Drake, he's gonna be okay. He's Drake. He takes my biggest L for 2024 just because he lost a rap battle, and then you're going to sue. Just put out new music. Let us forget it with new
that's
music.
what I'm saying.
That's the way you should treat it. So yeah, and to end the point on Drake. He's been the biggest hit maker of our generation, point blank, period. I don't think anybody can dispute that. Oh, this is actually going to transition well into the next thing that I want to talk about. This is working so well.
Oh, look at us.
All the topics meshing together. And he's going to do a tour in Australia that's starting next year. He will be okay. As an artist, when it's all said and done, we are still going to appreciate him for who he is. And I don't think losing one rap battle is going to do that. I don't think many people actually believe the allegations that Kendrick were thrown at him on the song. And so while he shouldn't sue, he'll be okay.
Yeah.
He'll be okay.
I'm not worried about him.
Yeah. But Not Like Us, one of the songs of the year. I remember when I went to Vegas, this was a couple weeks after it came out.
Vegas family trip.
Yes. And I had to miss Princeton reunions. But DJ Mustard, who's the DJ who produced the song, he was doing a show there, and I went and saw him live. And this was like a week after the song came out. He performed it live. The room, electric. You see videos from all over the world, literally all over the world, of people just singing that song word for word. Like, it's taken over the world. So that is my number 3 song of the year. Not Like Us. But that transitions us to Billboard put out a list of their top 25 pop stars.
Oh, I saw this, but only because Hailey Bieber was like
mad that Justin got number 8. Good memory.
I have a good memory. I have a really good memory.
Do you know?
Side note: my dad was like, I was talking about something with him, something really petty, and my dad was like, "I love how you never let an insult go." And I'm like, "Yeah, like if you say something like trivial, non-trivial, like I'll remember."
You'll remember it. Which is even similarly, one of the clips that I posted for my podcast, like it got like 100,000 views a couple of weeks ago, which I know for me was a lot.
No, 100,000 is so good.
I was like, oh my God. But it was with one of my friends who went to an HBCU, and we're talking about like our college experiences. And they kept saying I was like cutting her off in the clip, which I wasn't. And then this girl in the comments said I was so pompous. I've thought about that comment way more than I would like to admit.
You know why you're thinking about it?
Why?
Because it's someone with a good vocabulary, and you're probably like, shit, this sounds so arrogant. Shit, is this someone whose opinion I actually need to take into account? Because as soon as there's a mean comment on my video and they spell something wrong, I'm like, all right, like, let's wrap it up here. But if they actually say something articulate and like thoughtful, then I'm like, this is something I should consider. Like, am I actually doing this?
Admittedly, I had to even Google what pompous meant. I was like, I don't need. I was like,
we don't need to admit that.
No, I'm not ashamed. Okay, my vocab is extensive, but pompous was not in there. But I was like, God damn, I'm not pompous. And I actually disagree, because when it comes to reading comments, like we all do it, it gets to you in the sense of like, oh, someone just called you this thing, but I don't care if you're a PhD from whatever. Like, I'm not going back and forth in the comments, and fuck your comment.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it that, again, this is going to sound contradictory because I've thought about this pompous comment more so because I was like, who even is this person?
You learned a new word from it.
I learned a new word from it,
but
I'm not like the whole like comment section going back and forth, people being mean. I'm like, I'm not going to just. The thing about the internet is, this person with one follower has that comment leaves the same impression as someone who might be more established in some way. And so the way that I look at it is like all the comments, no, I don't want to register any of them. I'm pushing them all away.
You want to hear something funny? Do you know who Brooke Schofield is?
No. Should I know her? I'll Google her.
She had a rough 2024, but she left a comment on one of my Coachella videos where not like saying like I'm the hardest working person in the world, but like I do think that like
2 million followers on TikTok, 800K on Instagram. Okay.
I do think influencing is substantially easier than any corporate job ever. And I was at this hotel, and like, long story short, the brand had been working so hard. They'd flown out like 4 days in advance of Coachella starting. They were like setting up the room, getting like everything for these girls. Like, these girls arrived, and like they were like bringing food into their hotel rooms. They were filling up their water bottles, like things that are like above and beyond like a social media manager's jobs. Like, I just can't imagine like handing a water bottle to someone being like, can you do this for me? Like, no, I don't care how many followers you have online. And I like posted something about it because I was just like, it was a sunscreen brand, and I was like, you can't really be filming content for this like sitting in your room. And the hotel was like 20 rooms. It was like a very tiny hotel, and we're sitting there, and like the like social media managers like trying to get the girls to come out of the room and like film content because you really can't do anything for a sunscreen brand inside, at least in my small brain. And I posted something online, and this girl, Brooke Schofield, commented like, I can't think of a hate comment, but I want to. And I was like, if you're going to write something like hateful, like get some like wit behind it.
Yeah, be a little
like,
more creative. That is a little funny though.
I was laughing. I was like, all right. Like,
she was like, I'm so annoyed that I want you to know, but I don't know how I can't put it into the right words.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say something on it.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
Well, the next day I saw her at this like Coachella event where I was like the smallest person there. And I like literally went up to her and I was like, this was before all of her bad tweets came out. And I was like, I'm such a fan of your podcast. Like, it's actually so funny. Like, I don't know. Like,
did she know it was you that made the video?
I don't think so. Everyone was also really drunk. So it's fine. I went up to Harry Jowsey 2 hours later and I had lost my phone. And like, you know, when you like see someone famous and maybe this is a weird experience, but I was so drunk that I was like, oh, I know him because I know his face. And I didn't put it together that I knew his face because he's a celebrity. Yeah. So I was like, oh, can you call my phone? I lost it. And he was like, I don't know. Like, I don't have your number. And I think I gave him my phone number to call my phone. He did not call my phone. There was no missed call from Harry Jowsey. But yeah, that was my hate comment story.
There you go. If you had to, I don't know, do you remember who was number one on this list of top 25 pop stars of the century? Or
my guess is Beyonce, but I don't know.
It was Beyonce.
Yeah.
Who would your answer be if you had to pick?
Of the 21st century?
Yes, last 25 years. Biggest pop star.
Weirdly, I would put Lady Gaga pretty high up there. Like, when I think about early 2000s music, she's definitely in there. Britney Spears actually would be, but I think I'm like skewed because I'm thinking about early 2000s and this range is like top 25 or like first 25 years of it. So I don't know. I feel like everyone I think about as like a huge pop star, I don't think about 2010s. I think about 2000s.
Lady Gaga is number 5 according to this list. Britney Spears is number 6 according to this list.
Yeah, Britney Spears should not be that low. What's Taylor Swift, like 2 or 3?
Taylor Swift is number 2. Yeah.
Is she 2?
Yeah. Rihanna 3, Drake 4, Kanye
Drake
West
on the pop list.
So it's basically all artists because like Jay-Z's on here, BTS is on here. So it was basically just like
BTS
musicians. Yeah, the K-pop group.
Are they that big?
They're massive.
Okay.
They have
What number are they?
They are
they
number,
higher than Justin Bieber?
No, they're number 19.
Oh.
Which is above Bruno Mars, which I disagree with. I love Bruno Mars.
I love Bruno Mars, but I don't think Bruno Mars is that big.
Bruno Mars is a
He also
massive.
had a comeback year this year after his like gambling issues.
Was that real? That he was in
know.
debt in Vegas?
That's what I heard.
I saw those headlines.
I loved those memes that were like Lady Gaga coming to the rescue.
If I had to, because Eminem's also on here, Usher, so Nicki Minaj is on here, Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. Sorry, I'm so anti Ed Sheeran.
Why are we anti Ed Sheeran?
I just don't like his music. They all annoy me. I know that's a hot take.
That is one of the hottest takes I've ever heard. Because I love Ed Sheeran. No. Perfect that was the song. What was it the J prom dance or senior prom? Fuck, what was it? Yes, junior prom. I remember that was a slow dance song. Aww. And danced into that with my girlfriend at the time.
Do you guys still talk?
No. But between Perfect and what's his other fucking like beautiful wedding song?
Wait, sorry. On a very different note, do you think that everyone who you like went out with or like dated watches your podcast, and how does that make you feel?
No. Although funny enough, a girl I went on a date with a couple weeks ago said she listened to an episode. Actually, that's come up a few times now.
Yeah, and how does it make you feel?
It makes me not speak as on some things the way I would otherwise. Admittedly, yes. And then funny enough, though, actually, no, I take it back. I remember this ex that I'm speaking of. She actually sent me, she's at 2 different points sent me really nice messages about the podcast.
Wow.
One being when I got like a big guest on there one time. And then
Icon.
There was one other time that she actually, so we don't speak, but we follow each other still, and so she has left some nice messages. So
no, I'm
not gonna say her name, but shout out to you. She knows who she is.
I'm more meant like the recent like people you go on dates with. Or like anyone you're dating consistently, when they tell you like, "Oh, I'm watching this," how does it make you act?
That's made me nervous.
Yeah,
because I don't like say anything crazy on here, but I'm always like, I want them to get to know me from like meeting me, not from hearing me on the podcast. But now that you say this, a good amount of girls I've gone out with this year have said they've listened to. Not consistently, but at least an episode. And I'm always like, first question is, which episode?
Yeah, that's so fair.
Because they vary a little bit. And there's some where it's like, honestly, maybe don't listen to that one. And others I'm like, that actually is very wholesome, great representation of...
Yeah, you're like positive PR for myself.
Of who I am, exactly. So, yeah, now, what about you? Same question?
Not until recently. Someone I was going out with, like, one time I went on a first date and he kept saying things and I was like, oh, you've 100% watched TikToks because you just kept saying things that like I've said I liked and they were really specific. And then that was only a first date. And then someone I was going out with more recently, we would have like in-depth conversations about like him stalking, like asking me questions from it. And
how does that make you feel?
It puts me at like a serious imbalance because you can ask about it. First of all, the person has to be like comfortable enough to admit that they've watched it.
Yeah.
Second of all, you have to like again, anything you can say without context is an ick. So I'm like, well, we're still here and we're still talking. So it obviously wasn't an ick, but like you have to have the context of the situation. But then I started posting things that I knew he would see so that he could get the message subliminally about stuff that I didn't want to necessarily have to say to his face.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Because again, my podcast is small enough. It's small. But your audience is growing to the point where it's like people you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis will probably be seeing your content.
Yeah. So I posted something about not thinking it was appropriate to ever split on a date, and then he brought it up the next date. Not that he was asking me to split, but I was like, I'm glad you saw that. Like, I feel about that.
Is it never appropriate to split on a date?
It's not never appropriate. I just think it's so...
I love it. Every conversation leads back to this topic.
Okay, but I do feel so strongly about it because I don't think it's that a girl can't pay for stuff. I think girls should pay for stuff. It's just like, is it sexy? No.
Yeah, but if you've gone on multiple dates, like
you can buy the concert ticket, I will buy the drinks, I will get the card to the concert. Like, and it's not even about like dollar amount. It's just like sending in Venmo is not sexy.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Like there's nothing about that is hot.
Fair. Okay, to bring it back to our original conversation, my artist of the 21st century, if I had to give one, it would either be Drake or Kanye West. Would have to be one of those two. Drake has been on top for a very long time.
I think Drake, the longevity of Drake, I like more than Kanye, because Kanye has like.
He's stopped and started and stopped, but then he's also had his whole like anti-Semitic thing. So he's been a lot more controversial, and he has his mental health issues. And if he again never, I guess what was it, Life of Pablo tour, which is when he really started like outwardly breaking down. If he would have stayed at that consistency, I don't think it would have been questionable between the body of work and just the influence. But Drake has just been on, which is why I'm like, this guy will be okay. Yes, he lost a rap battle, but like you will be okay. So Drake will be my number one. And then I'm an Adele guy.
I love Adele.
So if I
don't talk about Adele enough.
I didn't know you liked Adele like that.
I love Adele.
The one, again, I've been very fortunate to see a lot of my favorite artists in person. The one that I'm very sad that I never got to see was her residency in Vegas.
I watched all the photos or videos from like, I think she performed in Germany this summer, and it was like a rain show.
Yeah, she did like she built a set there, did a couple shows. Because I was in Vegas when it was happening, but those tickets were stupid.
Yeah.
Stupidly expensive. I am not at that place in my life where I do make some irrational financial decisions.
What's your latest and greatest irrational financial decision?
This one honestly was not my fault, but I'm glad you asked that question. This Kendrick Lamar show that I'm talking about, one of my friends from school, he's also a very big fan. So when the shows dropped, I texted him saying, I'm down to go on the show with you. He texted me how much you're willing to spend. I didn't give a number. I was just like, honestly, I'm not like in a financial crunch. I'm willing to spend a little bit, but I left that vague, which was the problem. Mm-hmm. His girlfriend got the tickets. She texted the three of us in the chat. I'm not going to say the number of what the tickets cost, but she said the number.
Was it more than a month of rent?
No.
I don't know.
No. And again, I'm not. No, it wasn't that. But this is by far the most I've paid for any live event in my life. And I like Kendrick, but I wouldn't even have paid this for the J. Cole show.
Okay.
And so I'll tell you the number when we get off, but I don't want to say it. But after I was like, next time, like, give me a final, like, is this okay to spend? Yeah. Which I did text him on the side being like, next time, just kiss again. I can afford it. I paid it, or I'm literally doing installments. I'm doing half now, half later. But just let me know ahead of time. But yeah, that was an irrational financial decision, but that was on me. Next time I should have been more explicit about my cap is 400, 500, whatever that number is. What about you?
I bought a Chanel bag. I had been traveling for work, and then I got invited to this pop-up, and when I went to Japan this summer, I was like, I'm gonna buy a really nice purse, and really nice purse in Japan can be like 40K, and I was like, well, I'm not spending that.
USD?
Yeah.
God damn.
And that was like with the yen being down. So everything there, I was like, I just feel like I can't make this purchase. Like, I need to think about it. And then I went to this pop-up, and the bag was nowhere near that expensive. But I was just like going around the store, and I kept coming back to this. And I was like, I'm turning 25 in 2 months.
Fuck it.
Yeah. And like,
fuck it, we ball.
Yeah. The worst thing is like, TikTok money doesn't feel real.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, getting paid from TikTok, I'm just like, this is fake money. Like, I can spend, like, oh, if I want to like take my friends and go to drinks tonight, like, sure. Like, it's because it's just like.
Oh, are you wait? When you say it doesn't feel real, you're looking at it as like just disposable income.
Yeah.
Because you already have your salary.
Which you definitely
shouldn't. Yes, you are a financially savvy person. You could
with this money, because it's not like it's not like work. At least right now, it's just not work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, a purse, sure. Like.
I'm not mad at that. I'm trying to think of what else, because the ticket one was more of a like, I just got that number thrown on me. I'm trying to think of what I've actively been like, I want to spend money on this thing that's been irrational. Honestly, I don't think I've had a lot of irrational. I got like a Louis Vuitton wallet, but that wasn't irrational. I'd known I wanted it.
Yeah.
But after I got my last bonus, that's what I got. But usually it's just clothes. Like, I go out, I see like a jacket or something I want, and I get it. But
do you have a gift for yourself this bonus?
I've been getting into golf, so I want to get myself golf clubs.
Cool.
Because that's like that's just a great investment. I'm going to use them for a long time. It's something good to have. Apparently your game will get better when you have your own set of clubs. So that will be my big bonus purchase this year. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Next. Ooh, another person of the year. Are you a Caitlin Clark fan? Do you know?
I know who
Do you
she
know
is.
who Caitlin Clark is? Well, okay, honestly, fan, this is good. I'm glad you know who she is, but you're not a fan. As someone who I don't think you're that big of a sports fan.
Nope.
Tell me your perception of her and her influence as someone who's not like tapped into.
I think it's
women's
very
basketball.
like impressive. First of all, she's a great athlete. I know that, even though I don't know anything else about basketball. But I think it's like impressive that someone can be so good that they can like kind of change the perception of a sport. I think that is the most interesting thing about her. And then I feel bad that I don't know the blonde girl from Stanford who's also really good.
Cameron Brink?
Yes.
Don't feel bad. Caitlin Clark's like the best.
Yeah. But I know there were like a lot of really good female basketball players this year. And I remember in high school reading something about how like women's NBA players like made like $30K a year.
Caitlin Clark, we both make more money. We both make double what Caitlin Clark makes.
Well, I'm sure not from sponsorships.
Yeah, from sponsorships, she makes 10 plus million. She's like the 5th highest paid female athlete this year. But her WNBA contract is nothing.
Yeah, so that like annoys me. But then I'm also like, I understand it with this marketing concept. Like if people don't watch the shows or games, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. The whole thing makes me irritated because I'm like, why don't people watch women's sports games? Because if you watch, then ads would come in and then they get paid more. So you can be like, I want them to get paid more. But if you don't watch, but then again, I'm not watching. But I also don't watch men's sports. So I'm not really a part of the problem.
I love it. And again, I love that you said that because I feel like people take that to be a controversial take. Whenever people complain about women's sports viewership, I'm like,
you can't pay them if there's no
if you're not
advertising.
if you're not watching, then like how are you complaining about this? But Caitlin Clark is my person of the year. She was Times Athlete of the Year simply because one, amazing player. She literally went from breaking NCAA's scoring record across men's and women's to leading her team to the championship game. They didn't win, but again, the fact that she even led them that far is insane because she was basically
Is she the point guard?
She was the point guard, yeah.
Is that like the equivalent of a quarterback?
Yeah,
Okay.
good comparison. Yes, and that happens, and because of the timing of the seasons, she went from doing that to getting drafted a week later, max to I think was a week later, starting her WNBA season, having an All-Star year, having one of the best rookie seasons ever. In her first year, when all these hating old players were like, "Oh, she's gonna have a rude awakening." Gino Auriemma, who's like legendary UConn coach, was like, "It's not gonna translate. She's a little girl, whatever."
Yikes.
And she had a phenomenal year, shut everybody up. I love people proving people wrong.
Yeah.
That's my single favorite thing in the world is when I do it and when other people do it. So just seeing her dominate at that level is beautiful to watch. And then most importantly, like you mentioned, she put the game on the map on a different level than I've ever seen before individually.
She did what oh my god, I should know his name.
Steph Curry?
No, in track. Noah?
Usain Bolt? Oh, Noah Lyles?
Yes. What he's like trying to do.
Trying to do, yeah. Although I would argue the track already has a bigger general following, and there's been the Usain Bolts of the world and other big athletes who have done that for track. But for the WNBA, while yes, there have been a lot of historically great legends, the Candace Parkers, the Cheryl Swoops of the world. But for whatever reason, and some people say it's the race thing, that's not the lane we're going down. She has been able to make the game more mainstream to a level that's never been seen before, where I hate that I don't have the stat on me. Someone figure out like the percentage of games that were the top most watched games. She was responsible for like most of them. The amount of dollars generated, she's responsible for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Her impact is like you've never seen before. I watched probably 90% of Indiana Fever games this year from never watching the WNBA simply because of Caitlin Clark. So her impact was ridiculous, and she is by far, I think, one of my people of the year.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
If I was more of a sports fan, I'm sure I would agree with you. I like don't think I watched more than like 2 Olympics things. Like, it's just I like it, but like small doses.
Speaking of, again, you just touched boom Olympics. So you were not a big fan.
I watch when I feel like I watch the recap when it's like this is so impressive. Like this random person who no one thought was going to do XYZ accomplished it, and that's exciting to me. Like watching the Americans like sweep some sport that we were always going to sweep. I'm like,
yay.
Okay, like yay. Like,
but that's that's just the dominance of America, where you just expect to be great and to have the most gold medals and the most medals, so we just take it all. For granted.
I know we do. I definitely take it for granted, but I also am like, we don't care about these sports the other like 4 years, and then we are all like obsessed with, I don't know what the equivalent of that was this year, but like these things that we like really hyperfixate on when you already know you're going to win doesn't really excite me.
Like, I mean, equivalent was, so there was the pommel horse guy, the gymnastic dude who everyone said looked like Superman. That was an example of someone who, again, you think I give a fuck about pommel horse?
Yeah.
You think I'm ever going to watch pommel horse again?
I didn't know that was a sport.
Yeah, it's a gymnastics event, but
he was like the first one to win a medal in like a million years. Like, that's exciting.
Probably, maybe. I don't even know. But again, it's cool to see those stories that people all get hyped about. There was a female rugby player, Alana Marr.
Yeah, okay. But everyone under the sun was like, because she's like, I feel like there's some athletes who are like equivalently as big as a celebrity at this point. Which,
she's
like,
definitely
the pommel horse
one.
guy they're trying to do with Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, she was also, Alana Marr was also on Dance with the Stars, but she's a perfect example of, again, became a real celebrity off her success on the rugby field pitch.
She's also hysterical.
She's funny, good content.
Yeah,
good content. She should come on the podcast. I
Yeah.
don't know her, but I have a friend who was on the team.
that's sick.
So boom, everybody make it happen.
Everybody knows Flo.
Everybody the world is small.
It is
2 degrees.
too small.
It's too small. We are a couple degrees of connection away from everybody on this planet.
Speaking of,
Oh, speaking of, okay, so you went to the University of Pennsylvania, like
the Lakers. Guess what I found out 7 years ago today?
7 years ago. Oh, that you got in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
December. Oh, I guess for early decision because I was regular decision. That
Hey, you.
Would you
Flex? Okay.
I was regular decision everywhere, Prince. I actually got rejected from Penn, so I guess it's not that much of a flex. Rejected from Penn, Harvard, Columbia. Actually waitlisted at Penn. I lied. Rejected from Yale. Rejected from. So it was a lot of rejections, but all it takes is one. But
All it
okay,
takes is one.
to talk about it. The guy, I'm literally that might be the first thing I ever cut out of this podcast because I don't even want to put that out there. But the CEO killer went to the same school that you did.
Yes.
Did you know who he was at all?
So when it came out, I was first of all in shock because I was like, Penn people aren't usually anti.
Establishment.
Yeah. Like, it's very much not that kind of
I guess
place.
the Yale vibes.
Yeah, Yale, like Dartmouth maybe, not Penn. So, and then when I was like 2020, like that's crazy. Like we had 2 years on that campus, but I did not know him. I have deactivated my Facebook a long time ago, but you can like go in and still see photos. And I did a deep stalk. And freshman year at Penn, like, or like I guess every year at Penn, there's parties, and when you're a freshman you don't know where to go, so I would go anywhere, and Facebook has planted us at these same parties, but I never met him.
So you were in the same space as him at
Same
some
space
point.
My friends have TA emails from him in like really really challenging computer science classes,
because his LinkedIn is people
impressive.
would kill for his LinkedIn. He was an AI he I think an AI minor, where again AI is the next trend in the world.
Yeah, but not when you were in college in 2016.
So yeah, taught at Stanford doing something, double major at Penn. Insane resume.
In really challenging classes. Like there's some classes. I took Arabic choir at Penn. I don't know Arabic and I cannot sing. So you can take fluffy classes at...
Arabic choir is hilarious.
It was a great class. It was on Thursday nights, so everyone would like pregame and then go sing and then go out to the bar. But his classes were not fluffy. They were like real challenging things. And he got a master's in 4 years.
Yeah. So insane. Honestly, I think... we'll leave that at that because I even got uncomfortable just talking about it.
Have you seen the videos of the girl being like, you know him as like a killer. I know him as the guy who got ice cream with me at night. That one sent me, and it's like a video of them grocery shopping for mochi, and I'm like,
I've not seen
time
that.
and place.
From college or
I think it was either from college or like because he graduated 2020, like COVID year right after.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff. It always makes you wonder, like, again, ideally no one you know does anything crazy, but it's like these things do happen.
Yeah. And all the videos that are coming out, I'm like, oh, I know exactly like that frat. Like I know where this was taken.
Yeah. So crazy. R.I.P. to the CEO, because again, not okay to ever kill anyone. At the end of the day, murder is not okay.
True.
And now transition topics to Haktua.
Okay, I like don't understand. Is the coin real? Is that a real thing?
It was a real thing.
And
Which if
people
you
actually bought that.
people actually bought that. So everything that happened to them, they kind of deserve.
That's so concerning.
That concerns me for our society.
Same. Okay, these are my thoughts on her. Commend her for realizing that something she said would make it so difficult for her to ever have normal employment. So she's like running this as far as she can.
She is milking it and squeezing everything out of it, as
So
she should.
I respect that.
As she should.
But like,
get your coin. I mean,
I can't say why would anyone listen to it?
I don't know why you would listen to her podcast. I saw the perfect tweet, and it was talking about how Ellen played a vital role in society because when she was around, she would take people like that, get them on the show, and then they would be disappear from oblivion. They would get their 2 seconds
Fair.
of fame, and then we would never hear from them again. That was an important role to play in society.
But
Like them, the fucking like the Rizzler, the fucking
who that is.
those are the Costco family. Good. I'm good for you. I'll show you that one also after. Good for you that they haven't come across your timeline because I hate everything about it. They're this little Italian family that everyone's made really famous. They do like the booms. They've been on Jimmy Fallon. They've been on 8. They're everywhere. And that's the perfect example. If they should have had 2 seconds of fame, then we should have never had to hear from them again.
But people hating on someone actually, I think, makes people famous.
But people actually like the I don't even like Big Justice, AJ. Like you've definitely seen who they are. I'll send you the stuff after. But that's another because I was gonna say people that I would want us to leave in 2024. Hawktua, Haley, whatever.
Yeah.
And then this whole Rizzler, Big Justice.
Have you ever listened to an episode of her podcast?
God, no.
I feel like I want to.
No.
I think I might.
No. Let me know how it is. I will not give that any of my time.
Like, how can you fill an hour? Maybe she's really smart.
I doubt it, respectfully. Oops. I doubt it. I'm sorry. But speaking of actually talented creators, because I have this is my final person of the year. Do you know who Kai Cenat is? He is a streamer. He's now, I think he might be the biggest streamer on Twitch. He's the one who did the 1 month streamathon in November where he literally streamed from a month straight, had massive celebrities on it.
A month? Like 24/7?
24/7. It was not actually though. It was very well. The production was like you were watching the Super Bowl. The production was insane. He rented a mansion in LA and had a bunch of celebrities go on the show. The thing I love about him is he's just like he's a kid. He's 22 years old. He's just a very positive individual who, people compare him to iCarly. He actually had Miranda Cosgrove went on the stream because he's like a real life version of iCarly. He's streaming. He's doing all these random things with his friends.
Okay.
And he's built up this massive following just by being this positive kid who works hard, who has a great attitude, great personality. And I think that honestly is more of the example that we should be setting and propping up there than the Hawktuas of the world. Mm-hmm. And so he had a great year. He is only going to keep growing. And I've just appreciated that he, again, 22-year-old, I'm not expecting him to, like, people wanted him to endorse a political candidate. He was like, no, that's not my realm. That's not what I do, which I also respected because I don't think it's for everyone to be speaking on everything. So just the way he does his business, the success that he's had, I think he had one of the most successful 2024. So shout out Kai Cenat.
Woo! Maybe I'll watch his not a month long.
No, I'll send.
Send me a highlight
I'll
reel.
send you. Yes, because there are a few like highlight reels. You've definitely seen him. Before.
I love that we have very little
overlap in our. I agree.
Yeah.
That makes this more fun. Actually.
Yeah.
I
learned something.
Yeah, you taught me about Brat Summer. I taught you about Kendrick and Drake. You taught me about Chapel Roan. I taught you about Kai Cenat.
Yeah.
We're just look at this exchange of information.
I think colleges really, aspire to be.
Yeah. Okay. What else? Anything else? How long have we been going for? 50. Okay, so just about an hour. Anything else to touch on? I feel like I've touched on everything.
Oh, 2025 goals. While you think, I have a crazy story to tell you.
Okay, tell the story.
So I asked a guy this question last week, and he looks me straight in the eye, and he goes, "I don't have any goals. Everything I'm doing right now is exactly how I want to be doing it."
No, okay. See, I want to say that's crazy. But what if he had set goals a couple years earlier and he had actually hit all the things?
You can't be 28 years old and say that you are perfect. You can't.
Fair.
You like I don't care if your goal is like I want to watch more anime. I want to do less of this. I want to, whatever your goal is, I don't care. But you can't sit here and say that every aspect of your life is perfect.
Yeah.
You can say like, oh, I don't set goals like on a yearly basis because I find it arbitrary. But like you could even say like, I just want to spend my time doing more or less of this because it brings me more or less joy. And that can be a goal. I'm not saying you need to like climb Mount Everest.
Fair.
But to say you have no goals because you're perfect as you are is a crazy
That is a little
take.
crazy. Okay, and honestly, that'll be a good place for us to end with the 2025 goals. But before that, I just want to give just 2 other things to mention since it's 2024 recap episode. Firstly, not even show of the year. Not best show of the year, worst show of the year. House of the Dragon.
Never seen it.
Hated that show. It was a season of filler episodes. It took a lot of time to make. And the next season's not going to come out for a long time. It's a sequel to Game of Thrones, which is the greatest show ever.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched it, finished it a couple weeks ago. Phenomenal.
Okay.
House of the Dragon is a prequel. Came out first season okay, second season trash. So just had to put that out there. Because again, this is like my time capsule. So when I watch this back 20 years from now, I want to remember how much that show pissed me off. So shout out House of the Dragons. And then lastly, big year for just like sequels. Dune 2 was my favorite movie of the year. Moana 2 just came out.
Inside Out 2,
Gladiator 2, Inside Out 2 just came out. So just big year for sequels. And there's something to be said about the fact that Wicked is a remake of a Broadway show. There's such difficulty in creating original content that actually hits.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said for that. Because most of the successful movies that come out, like Twister is a remake, a lot of it has just been remakes of old stuff. So just wanted to put those 2 things out there. And now to answer your question, and then you'll answer, and then that'll be it. This podcast, I was very proud of my consistency this year. This was as a working adult. Actually, no, I think in just period, the most episodes I've put out in a year, I think. My goal is to put out episodes every other week. I just about hit that. So was proud of that. Would like to keep up that consistency next year. Not significant growth in viewership. Some moments where like
I didn't go for 2 years on my old account except for Coachella. Like we would go to Coachella, double our following, and then we'd come back to New York and nothing would grow until this June.
There you go. So maybe we'll even talk about like the whole content thing, and if I do want to lean into that, what my angles would be. You're going to be my consultant.
Can do.
So just with this podcast, just keeping it consistent, hoping it grows in some meaningful way. Ideally get to monetization eventually.
Slay.
Want to try to get some more big guests on here, which there's some that I've circled that I'm gonna try to go for. So that is a big one. And then 2, career stuff I'm not gonna get into because you know why. 3, I want to do a clothing brand.
You want to make one?
Yeah.
That's sick.
And I have some ideas. And that's another thing where it's like I've always wanted, even for the podcast, there's stuff I want to be creative with and put some merch out, but then also separately another type of clothing brand that a friend and I have had some ideas about. So those, I'll leave it at that for my 2025 goals.
Cool.
There's a bunch more, but those are the ones I want to.
And you have goals, even just one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We'll end it with you. What are your 2025 goals?
Okay, 2025 goals. I say this every year. I want to have better knife skills in the kitchen. I want to be like a better cook. Every year I say that, and then I never do it. This is the year I might actually stick to it. I don't know. Like, I want to get through books quicker. Like, I'll start them, I'll get 75% of the way, and then I'll leave it for another, 4 months. Our friend Allie gave me an incredible goal last year, which I love, because I feel like we need more casual 2025 goals.
Shout out Allie.
Yeah. So her goal for 2024, which I need to check in with her to see if she accomplished, was to get herself on a private plane.
I like that.
I like that. I like that a lot.
We all need goals. I don't know what category that's going to fall into, but we all need goals like that.
We all need fun, casual goals. So I can't steal hers because that wouldn't be very creative. But
no, yes, you can. But do another one, but that could be one of yours too.
I feel like I want to get behind a stage at Coachella. I don't care which stage. It can be like the smallest one, but I want to be behind the stage.
I like that.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's my goal for 2025.
Amazing. Okay, Rachel, thank you for coming on this 2024
so
episode. You'll come back. I see a podcast in your future too, like having your own.
People ask me if I would do it, but then I'm like, I hate when I'm watching people's TikToks and then it's regurgitated on the podcast, and I'm like, well, I didn't need to hear the story twice, even if it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
So
I still see it for you. I still see it for you. That's gonna be my goal for you. Well, ideally, you're gonna have a big enough team that you don't need to do any of that yourself, because you're gonna be big time. I see that for you also.
Thank you.
And don't forget me when you make it big.
I won't. I'll come back. We'll do 2025 next year.
There we go. Everyone who's ever listened to an episode of Go With The Flow, thank you. If you listen this year for the first time, thank you. Looking forward to what else is coming with the podcast. This has been another episode of Go With The Flow. Thank you for listening.